Next up, we have best in class on the orphan cars, Studebaker post-war. We have a 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk owned by Christopher Pittsy. Best in class orphan cars, Packard post-war, is the 1949 Packard Super 8 owned by Ron Porter at Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan.
That's called a Packard format.
Everywhere I go,
I love wonderful. I love Packard formats.
Okay. Best in class for the Detroit Autorama class is the 1959 Imperial Crown Custom owned by Murray Bath. Okay, next up we have best in class sports cars, American, 1950s and 60s. The 1964 Shelby 289 Cobra owned by David.
Who doesn't know what this is? This was Carroll Shelby's idea. This did not come down from Ford Motor Company. It was Shelby's idea. He began with his award.
Special order color.
Next up, we have best in class cars of Woodward Avenue. The 1969 Pontiac GTO by Larry Reed of Pickerington, Ohio.
We talked about this on our own. It's too much of a temptation for us to ask these people.
Next up, best in class sports cars Italian. The 1973 Lamborghini Espada, owned by Dan and David of Cleveland, Michigan.
The Espada. Believe it or not, this was the basic Cadillac, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. The Series 62, there was a Series 60, Series 62.
Next up, best in class limited production Chrysler from the 50s to the 70s is the 1957 Dodge Custom Royal by Darren and Joyce Busey Jr. Best in class American Classics pre-war. We have the 1940 Packard Darren owned by Greg Renazian.
And I need to speed it up because I can stand up here and talk for an hour.
Next up, we have best in class European Classics pre-war. The 1937 Delahaye 135 Roadster Cabriolet by Tom McDowell of Shoreview, Minnesota.
Where do we begin?
Best in class limited production Fords from the 50s to the 70s goes to the 1966 Shelby GT350 by Colin Warren Fix. Next we have best in class European Classics Modern. The Ford goes to 1974 Alfa Romeo Montreal owned by Carl Robertson of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan.
If you got to talk, I hear us do
Best in class sports cars. Best in class supercars. It is a sports car, but it is a supercar. The 2009 Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren Sterling Moss, owned by David Bishop. Best in class hot rods, Midwest. The 1932 Privezzi, Dearborn, Michigan. This is really cool.
It is cool, and I love that.
We have the winner of the Hagerty Youth Award, European Classics pre-war, the 1937 Delahaye 135 Roadster Cabriolet.
Not about the car, but about the Hagerty Youth Judging. Hagerty has a wonderful program for kids 14 years.
The Spirit of Detroit Award from limited production GM 1950s through 70s goes to the 1970 Buick GSX prototype owned by Brandon Conley of Marysville, Ohio.
This is where I offend all of the other owners of muscle cars that are here today. My favorite
Best Sports Competition Award from the Sports Car American class.
Denise's car is way cool. Richard and I were tooling all over it. He's walking around the field earlier today. And Denise, we're happy to report, is a car champ. Sounds good too. Having a good time. I hope you got to see some cars today that you never got to see. That is probably the coolest color interior of the planet.
Most elegant car, European Classic pre-war, goes to the 1938 Jaguar SS by Mark Heinz of St. Louis, Missouri.
This is considered the first concept car. This was Harley Earl's idea in 1939.
Next up, we have the most significant Ford car from this, with the Chris Svensson Memorial Award. Limited production awards 1950s to 70s. This is the 1963 Ford Mustang II from the Detroit Concours. The most significant Chrysler Stellantis car from the limited production Chrysler class goes to the 1968 Plymouth GTX by Stephen Atwell of Walt Lake, Michigan.
Plymouth introduced the GTX in 1966 as part of the satellite lineup. It was the top of the line car. This is kind of an oddity. GTX was the most expensive mid-size car in the world.
John Summer was one of the founders of the Meadowbrook Concours d'Elegance, which became St. John's, which evolved into this show. And the award is for the most significant classic car. It goes to the 1932 Stuck DB32 Super Bearcat by Dick's Garage of Oshawa, Ontario. The Timeless Beauty Award for European Classic Honor goes to the 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gold, owned by Mark Dutton of Waterford, Michigan.
If you're a collector, the doors are out because that car is a little more inside. They don't benefit well. That's the only thing they don't do.
The next award is the Mark and Robert E. Peterson Perfection Award. It will be presented by Susan Hagerty. It goes to the 1965 Dodge A100.
Interestingly enough, I should point out
There are two little kids sitting here in front, and when you pulled up, one of them said, "Oh my God, I think that was the same reaction we all had when we saw it for the first time." The Engineering Excellence Award, which is the Josh Madden Memorial Award for European Classics Pre-War, goes to the 1929 Bentley Speed 6 by Hill.
those who wrote these cars, they are not selling to display these. The people that own vintage Bentley very much like to rally on the news and
Next up, we have the award for the Hagerty Drivers Foundation 5 Preservation. The next award is the Hagerty Drivers Foundation National Automotive Heritage Award, and it's going to be presented by Diane Parker. It goes to the 1950 Oldsmobile 88, owned by the well-known collector Myron Burness of Akron, Ohio. Cool cars on the planet.
The two people on this planet that have the weirdest and the longest cars are Jeff Lane in Nashville and Myron Burness in Ohio.
Really important award, possibly the most important award. It's the People's Choice Award from European Classics, modern. It goes to the 1950 Bentley Mark VI, owned by Larry and Lynn LeBute of Leamington, Ontario. Now, being a designer, I want to say a few things about this car. A lot of times people will talk about car designers as stylists. They're just decorating boxes like it's a birthday cake. Okay, next up we have the Detroit Concours Honorees Award, presented by Ed Wellburn. You have the wrong one. I wasn't looking. Sorry. Okay. Okay, we're gonna get this one. Next up, we have the Detroit Concours Honorees Award. It's being presented by Ed Wellburn, retired Vice President of Design of General Motors. It goes to the 1967 Ferrari 330 GTC.
Production body or production, maybe a poor choice of words, but
Next up, we have the Chief Judges Award, presented by our Chief Judge, Roger Wilbanks. And it goes to the 1951 General Motors LeSabre concept, owned by the General Motors Heritage Collection in Warren, Michigan.
So you got to see earlier the Y-Job. This is probably the second most famous concept car of all time. This was really Harley Earl at the time. first and foremost, you got to look at how low this car is.
51,000 miles, and
That Harley Earl put on the car.
it's
That's crazy.
unlikely that you'll ever have another opportunity to see that in motion.
Which is one of the greatest things about coming to an event like this. Not only get to see the car, but you get to hear it and be part of what it was like when it was operating.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Chairman's Award, presented by Matt Hornback. It's from the American Classics pre-war class, and the award goes to the 1931 Chrysler CG, owned by Physical Award. The Best in Show Award goes to 1937 Delahaye 135 Roadster Cabriolet by Henry Chappell.
We'll just let the car come up here and we'll talk about it in a moment.
Ava?
Admire the beauty of this car. It is an incredible example of a coach built on